and we heard you, America.
Real America's Voice is coming to iHeartMedia.
Yes, Real America's Voice is now breaking through the white noise of the mainstream media.
Just download the iHeart app and you'll have all of us right at your fingertips.
Scan the QR code and start streaming Rav anywhere you want.
Real America's Voice, available whenever you need us.
It's never been easier to stay connected with the voices you trust.
Rav on iHeart means you can take us with you wherever you go.
This is huge. The truth on iHeart. Ready whenever you are.
From Charlie Kirk to Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec to Grant Stinchfield, you'll find all your favorite Rav hosts in one place.
You can listen on Spotify, Apple, Pandora, or Amazon. Rav is now available everywhere you get your podcasts. All you need to do is scan the QR code right now.
Download the iHeart app today and get ready for Real America's Voice.
Scan the QR code and join the Rav movement.
Welcome into Special Report. I'm Beau Davidson along with Emily Finn. In just a short while, President Trump is expected to host Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India at the White House, as well as host a bilateral meeting and a press conference. And breaking today, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been confirmed by the Senate to become the next Health and Human Services Secretary by a vote of 51 to 48. This comes on the heels of Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation yesterday as Director of National Intelligence.
Here to break down the latest developments is our very own Rav White House correspondent Brian Glenn, who is in Washington, D.C. for us right now, awaiting President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. Brian, thanks so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good afternoon.
So I want to talk about these cabinet picks that are getting confirmed. Some people had concerns about Gabbard and RFK getting over the hump, but they've cleared their confirmation hearings. Was the pulse that they had the votes?
I think so. You know, we kind of counted that we knew it'd be close, and I said this earlier today. It's almost like your favorite football team. Either you win 50-0, or you win with the last second field goal and you win by 1 as time expires. It doesn't matter the size of victory and how many votes they got. They got the votes. They got confirmed, and I think it does show the strength of all of these confirmation, all these nominees that have gone through. They got the votes. Yes, Mitch McConnell was kind of a surprise, if you will, to some who voted no on a few. But when it's all said and done, I think that this has been a great run with these nominees. And of course, we just witnessed RFK Jr. getting sworn in the Oval Office just moments ago. Great day for Trump's cabinet as we move forward.
Yeah, he is batting 1,000. And I know, Brian, you mentioned that it seems like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. genuinely wants to make America healthy again. This is not just a slogan.
Yeah.
This is something he has personal conviction about.
Yeah, he told the story of why this means so much to him in this moment in this Oval Office. Matter of fact, he kind of retold a story in his younger days of being in that Oval Office with his uncle, talking about some of the issues that we're talking about today. And I really felt that emotional connection for him today. His wife, his family was surrounding him. He had a lot of people that had been great surrogates for him from the very beginning, joined him in the room as well. But I genuinely feel that he wants to make this country healthy again. And it all starts with what we eat. And Beau, they talked about the numbers of the obesity rate in this country and other illnesses that we did not have years ago. And he wants to certainly clean up our food and make us all healthy. I don't know who could be against that.
Yeah, I know, and I should think about that as I just grabbed a little pack of Rolos and Reese's, unfortunately. I need to think about that refined sugar. Well, Brian, I know we are awaiting the visit of Prime Minister Modi of India to the White House any moment now. This will be the second foreign leader to meet with the president. Why did Trump, do you think, choose this particular visit at this moment? And what do you expect will be discussed today?
Oh, I think we're going to talk about some tariffs. That's when he was in the Oval Office earlier. Reciprocal tariffs. That's basically meaning, and if a country charge a 0%, we're going to charge that same percentage back, no matter what it is. And so India is certainly a vital trade partner. He is going to sit down with Modi here in moments. I mean, the pageantry is set up behind us as he makes his way in here any moment now. But trade talks are definitely going to lead their discussion today. And of course, President Trump, just a few days ago, announced that 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, and of course China being affected with it. Also talked about bringing manufacturing back to this country, specifically pharmaceutical, semiconductor manufacturing. Send some of that back here. And I asked him a question about pharmaceutical, and it's almost like a national security issue to make sure that we manufacture the very important drugs we need in this country so that we have them. We can't be reliant on countries like China. Absolutely, Brian. I want to switch gears here. It seems about 74,000 federal workers may opt in to the Trump buyout program that would shed these jobs from the federal government. What is that buyout like? And is this the first step of many to thin out the bloated federal bureaucracy? Yeah, he often talks about how good that buyout plan was and how many people actually took advantage of it. And I think that's something to be said, but there's still, people that will hold out on it. This is one way to reduce the size of this bloated government. And of course, when you look at Doge in general, that's another avenue that will certainly decrease the numbers of people in some of these departments and some of these really wasteful organizations that don't necessarily lead a function of helping this country. So this is just the beginning, and we knew there would be some growing pains with this. We knew there'd be some kickback, and of course President Trump has absolutely he ran his whole entire campaign on depleting the size of the government and scaling it down to not only reduce the cost, but make us more efficient. And that's what he's doing right now. Yeah, and the Democrats that are so upset about this, it's like, what a novel concept for a president to actually do what he says he's going to do and make good on his promises. I think that's what's scaring them so much. Well, Brian, with Tulsi Gabbard and RFK the newest cabinet members, we still have Kash Patel yet to be confirmed as the director of the FBI. What are you hearing inside in D.C. and your sources on what that vote tally is looking like? Do you think there'll be any need for a tiebreaker, or will he have kind of that 1 or 2 vote comfort margin that RFK had today? I think he has a comfort margin, to be honest with you. I think out of all the nominees, he actually, in my opinion, and some of the inner circle that I have, is they're telling me that he had the cleanest track record. He has the cleanest background. He doesn't have as much controversial stuff that might pull or draw or push, I should say, some Republican support away. So I think he's relatively comfortable in getting everything taken care of, but he will be one. You want to talk about shaking the government up? My goodness. Kash Patel in there. I kind of like that one line he said. He'd like to turn the FBI building into a museum of the deep state. And of course, everyone at home is cheering that statement. And I know he said it, hypothetically, didn't really mean that. But cleaning up our government, cleaning up the DOJ, the FBI is certainly something that needs to be done. And he is definitely the person to do that. Yeah, definitely getting things done there, Brian. It seems that Doge has discovered the Biden-Mayorkas illegal migration funding machine, which went to immigrants rather than to FEMA. Give us an update on that and any other Doge discoveries that you've been hearing about. Yeah, well, we had that big hearing yesterday with Medicare, Medicaid, found $2.7 trillion in improper payments, which is essentially fraud. Okay, so we got that clear, and I want to make sure our viewers understand the next process. That report will be issued in days to the executive branch, and at that point, that's when and also in Congress. So we got legislation, executive orders on that to make those corrections. Now we shift our attention over to USAID at the end of the month. Now you talk about a hearing. This thing is going to be massive as they look at all of the fraud that's involved in that. And we've seen Caroline Leavitt just, rattle off all of the obscene things that have been funded through this USAID. So that's the next hearing that we're going to have. Now, in terms of the illegal immigration, the funding in New York City, man, you talk about $59 million going to house immigrants. And that's after they were told to stop that. Of course, that's been halted. Check has been canceled, so to say, on that. But that it just shows the defiance of some of these organizations on defying what the president says to do. But the buck really stops in the house that's sitting behind the camera right now, and that's got Donald Trump in there, and so it's going to be some accountability for that.
Let me ask you this, Brian. We talked a little bit yesterday about Elon Musk and him being in the Oval Office and taking every question, and I know that you're in these rooms. Are you getting a sense that the other media agencies out there, particularly the left-leaning ones, that they are now putting Musk in their crosshairs because they're so upset about what he's doing? They're calling him an unelected bureaucrat, that he's a co-president. We're hearing that. I'm seeing a lot of target on his back when, in fairness, Elon Musk is being one of the most transparent people out there and taking all their questions. So are you getting a sense that that is what the media's new target is, and why?
Yes, I do. And, it's interesting, and it's interesting to say this. President Trump has commented on just how involved Elon Musk is on all of this. And he says, my goodness, I don't know when the guy has time to run his own companies. He's spending so much time trying to help this country become more efficient and cut out this waste, abuse, and fraud. But he has definitely been target number one. Some of the questions we had in today in the Oval Office talked about, is Elon Musk going to get any new government contracts now that he's in Doge looking at contracts? And of course, President Trump says, look, everything's going to be reviewed. Everything's going to be transparent. Elon Musk has been very open about, being transparent on getting new contracts. And he says, hey, the contracts I get with the government is the best value for the buck, because he is certainly delivering on things. And we found out that's not necessarily the case on a lot of these contracts. So to answer your question, the media is having a meltdown on that. And but they better get used to it, because I don't think Elon Musk cares what they think. And he's certainly doing a good job. If you want to rate his job performance, what he's finding out is something this government for years never even cared to look into. But Elon Musk and his team are doing such that.
Well, and it seems, Brian, that the reason a lot of Democrats and even liberal outlets are concerned is because he's found out where that money went, and it was a liberal Democrat slush fund, is what it sounds to me like, and that's why they're so up in arms about it. But we'll get more from you. I know you're awaiting Prime Minister Modi visiting the White House, so we'll check back with you in a bit, Brian. Thanks so much.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, coming up, Moms for Liberty call for the end of the Department of Education. We'll find out why when we return. Stay with us.
is the largest collection agency in the world, and it just stepped up enforcement for 2025. If you owe back taxes or have unfiled returns, do not wait for the IRS to come after you. Simply avoiding your tax troubles is the worst thing you can do. Getting ahead of this is the smart move, but never contact the IRS alone. Turn it over to the team at Tax Network USA. Why? Because not all tax resolution companies are the same. Tax Network USA has a preferred direct line to the IRS. This means that they know which agents to deal with and which ones to avoid.
Tax Network USA has proven strategies that are designed to settle your tax problems in your favor, whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million. Their attorneys and negotiators have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. Talk with one of their strategists. It's free. Stop the threatening letters. Stop looking over your shoulder and put your IRS troubles behind you once and for all. Call 1-800-905-8000 or visit tnusa.com/RAV. One more time, that's tnusa.com/RAV.
And welcome back to Special Report. President Trump's pick for Education Secretary, Linda McMahon, faced senators today in her confirmation hearing. President Trump has stated that he hopes McMahon, once confirmed, puts herself out of a job. Our next guest is hoping the same thing.
We want to welcome in Tina Deskovich, the co-founder and executive director of Moms for Liberty, to the show. Tina, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, like President Trump, Tina, you want the Department of Education dismantled. Tell us why.
Well, the Department of Education, since its inception in 1979, has done absolutely nothing for the students in America. It was created to help equalize student outcomes, and it has done the exact opposite. The National Report Card was released last week, and scores are down even more than they were at COVID. And the achievement gap, which is the gap between the highest learners and the lowest learners, has grown even wider. And so it's just an epic failure.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you brought that up about the nation's report card that was released last week, because you're right. Most students were further behind than they were in 2022. So we're on a really bad trajectory here. Student learning was already in decline with COVID school closures, but it seems that there have been no improvements since. Why do you think that is?
Because schools have been focused the last several years on everything but the basics. You know, long gone are the days of reading and teaching phonics and doing math, and they've infused gender ideology. They spend classroom time talking about their feelings and social emotional learning. And, you know, there's only so many hours in a day at school, and when you're using them to do things that aren't teaching the basics, you're destined for failure.
Tina, the gap between the highest and lowest performers in school has grown by 10% since 2019. It seems that the most vulnerable and at-risk students are struggling the most. How can we fix this and get these students to a higher performance level?
Well, there's a lot of things, but first and foremost, if you close the U.S. Department of Education, there'll be more funds that go directly to the states and then directly to the schools. There is so much money spent right now on the middlemen at the U.S. Department of Education, but not just that. What the U.S. Department of Education does, they skim some of the money off of the top of the $80 billion that Congress sends over, because they have to pay their staff and do the things that they need to do to run programs. And they send it to the states, and then the states take some, and then they send it to the school districts. And so if you eliminate the Department of Education and you do block grants directly to the state and to the schools, you've eliminated that funding. But you've also eliminated all the staff that the school districts need to hire to cut through all the red tape and to process all the paperwork and to do all the forms. You know, I was on a school board from 2016 to 2020, and I know exactly how many people we had to employ in the administrative staff to manage the federal Department of Education regulations. And so get rid of it.
Yeah, that is really, really interesting. Tell us a little bit more about your time serving on a school board. What were you able to see with your boots on the ground, if you will?
I like to say we saw behind the education curtain when we served on school boards, because you go into the job thinking you know what's going on, and you really don't. And I served in a pretty conservative county, a lot of conservative people, teachers on staff, but they still are doing a lot of things, and not necessarily all their fault, to erode parental rights. You know, parents sometimes don't do their jobs, and so schools feel like it's their job to pick up the slack, but it's not. We have got to work with parents, whatever it takes, to educate them, to make sure that they are engaging in their full potential as being a parent, and that they're raising their children. And so school districts, you know, started making decisions about medical care and moral upbringing, and as we know, with ideologies infusing what they think was right, worldviews that they think are right. And parents really, they're getting more loud and more vocal as they saw what was going on in classrooms. But it's a constant struggle in every school district across this country to keep the power with the parents, with the families, and away from the teachers' unions and the bureaucrats.
So, Tina, I got a question for you then. If you get rid of the Department of Education and everything goes down to the state level, I could see that possibly being where red states would do exactly the things that you're saying, put more emphasis on phonics and on basic education. What happens once it goes back to California and they decide to really infuse wokeism into their schools because they have control over it? How do you prevent that from happening, or do you just say, well, that's a left-leaning state, you should move?
Well, you can't prevent, it's not being prevented right now. Have you taken a look at what's going on in the schools in California? The U.S. Department of Education doesn't have anything, it doesn't have a say in that right now. California is on its own path with extreme gender ideology being infused. They have spoken up and said that they are not even going to comply with President Trump's executive orders that he's signing that pertain to what's going on in the schools with Title IX and some other things. And so eliminating the Department of Education won't change one iota of what the state of California is doing. The people in the state of California need to voice their concerns, organize better, stand up against it, and fix these problems.
I mean, is there anything good about our Department of Education, or like you're saying, does it just need to be completely dismantled?
I know you're poking, looking for something, but I can't think of anything. The Department of Education does about three things. They manage college loans and things of that nature. That could be outsourced to a financial institution. There's no reason that the U.S. Department of Education needs to do that. And then, like I said, they take those K-12 funds from that are allocated from Congress and they distribute them back to the states. Those could be block grants that go straight to the states, straight to the schools without all the red tape, which would be better. And then the last thing they do, which we're watching through Doge right now, is they take all of these funds and allocate them to nonprofit organizations with ideologies that don't align with most of America, don't align with what parents want their children to know. They infuse them into the schools, and that absolutely all needs to go away now.
Well, Tina Descovich, thank you so much for joining us today and imparting your wisdom. We really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much, Tina.
Having me on.
Absolutely. Well, coming up on Special Report, J.D. Vance has been in Paris for a summit on artificial intelligence. We discussed this with AI specialist Nate Bradley. We'll be right back in just a moment. won this election, the fight to restore our great nation is only beginning. Now is the time to take a stand, and Patriot Mobile is leading the charge as America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile offers a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or service. Patriot Mobile isn't just about providing exceptional cell phone service, it's a call to action to defend our rights and freedoms. With Patriot Mobile, you'll get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all 3 major networks. If you have cell phone service today, you can get cell phone service with Patriot Mobile with a coverage guarantee.
But the difference is every dollar that you spend supports the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders. Switching is easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer support team will help you find the perfect plan. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/RAV or call 972-PATRIOT and get a free month of service with promo code RAV. Switch to Patriot Mobile today and defend freedom with every call and text you make. Visit patriotmobile.com/RAV or call 972-PATRIOT.
Well, welcome back to Special Report. Just before the break, you saw Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming into the White House, and we'll get to that just momentarily as soon as we have more. But for now, Vice President J.D. Vance has been in France this week, participating in a global summit on artificial intelligence. Global leaders and experts have gathered in Paris to discuss the advancements and implications of AI.
Here to give us his summary and analysis of the Vice President's involvement in the summit is Nate Bradley, the CEO of Data Vault AI. Welcome to the show, Nate, I'm so sorry. Welcome to Special Report, Nate.
Thank you kindly. Yes. Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Well, Nate, first and foremost, is J.D. Vance's participation in this summit, would you say, a positive development for the United States?
Oh, without question. So, it's good to see the administration out front on this. Politics tends to run several cycles behind, our technology and our industry in general. Here you're looking at a real opportunity for us to get ahead of some of the key issues that are going to face politicians around the world. When you see the vice president with such a deep connection, you just mentioned Prime Minister Modi, among the most intelligent and thoughtful leaders that we have in the world today, and someone that seems to have a tremendous, great connection with Vice President Vance. I'd also point out, Second Lady Usha Vance and their son attended a birthday party where the Prime Minister attended. And when you look at the hosting country here in Macron and France, the European Union, many aspects of the demands around AI are going to create a number of political and economic issues that we're going to face head on in the coming year, in the coming years. And when you look at that, mid to small size businesses need representation. This is really the role of our government, is to level the playing field and allow these technologies to penetrate to small to mid-sized businesses, to allow those that need to become educated or that want to become educated in these areas to have access to that education. When you have corporations and educational institutions gobbling up these resources, the governments are now stepping in to say, how do we get the most out of this technology, but also protect ourselves from a number of threats that we'll face because of this technology.
Yeah, Nate, I think you're absolutely correct. Artificial intelligence is going to be the future. It's inevitable. We're going to have to learn, going to have experience, and that's something that you have extensive experience with, is AI development. And you have been encouraged by the Trump administration's investment in AI infrastructure and the $500 billion joint venture with Stargate, OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank. Tell us why this recent action will boost the United States' AI capabilities.
Well, when you look at AI agents and the building of them, analogous to when we built out websites, you're going to see AI agents of all types, in all industries, in all modalities. And these agents, as they are built out and perfected by various entrepreneurial opportunities and also established technology companies that are, flooding into this area with investment, it's good to see our government at least try to keep pace with that. With respect to the recent developments and the investments, you can only say that this is a technology poised to change the world. We are at, like when we created the internet, like when we first got connected, we're at this Web3 threshold, which is decentralization, AI, and the ability for crypto and many other experiential technologies to take really the world by storm.
So tell us why international collaboration on AI is so important.
Well, these are technologies that cross borders. You can see that the impact of these technologies will affect the global economy. And therefore, we have to collaborate as global leaders, one, to help protect our citizens, to get the most out of this technology, and then look at those that would try to use this technology for clandestine or negative utilization. We've had so many examples of where technology gets ahead of itself and people don't realize the unintended consequences. And here's some of the smartest leaders in the world gathering to discuss these issues and to put fail-safes in place. So it's about time, and the effort on an international basis is something that America will be drawn to leadership in this area because we simply have the most talent and the most resources. Now, when you look at India and their importance, and you can see the Prime Minister's kind of prevalence in these meetings, he is representative of a powerhouse in this area of both human and technological resources that the world's going to come to depend on. So he rightfully so seems to be at the shoulder of our vice president at this summit.
Nate, you've expressed concern over the absence of tech staff at the AI Safety Institute regarding name, image, and likeness. There was an AI-generated video that emerged on social media, I believe yesterday, of celebrities flipping off Kanye West for his anti-Semitic remarks. And at least one in that deepfake, Scarlett Johansson, denounced the footage. Is this why name, image, and likeness have to be treated so delicately in the terms of AI and its future?
Well, perhaps at the center of the greatest controversy around AI is the fact that once it learns you, once it knows your voice, once it knows your look, it doesn't need you anymore. And if you don't own your likeness, if you don't have the ability to monetize your own likeness, it can be taken from you. And we see that with Johansson in such a profound way. But each of us individually have our likeness. Your voices and your likeness run this show today, mine as a guest. But if that is taken from us, what is the need for us? And that is the center of the controversy around these technologies. And there's many mechanisms to protect ourselves. But again, it's about getting out front. NIL is something that's powered a new economy, a new way to think of the world. But it too comes with a great deal of challenges and inequities. You don't want NIL systems, for example, in our collegiate system, to only award, the beautiful or only award the talented athlete and not the engineer. And so we have so far to go in this, and our likenesses and our name and image are combined with our brains and our outputs, our writings and our teachings. And when AI learns this, it won't need humanity anymore. And we have to get out in front of the issue before it takes it all from us.
So Nate, how should we feel about AI in the broader sense? Should we fear it? Should we embrace it? Proceed with caution? I mean, it sounds like there's definitely some risks, but a lot of rewards.
Well, I was with a younger colleague that's been working on, how to incorporate it into daily living. Like, how can I use it as an advantage? And as an executive in this space and using AI, it's given me such a personal leap in the abilities around me and those around me. So what I would tell you is that there is a utilization that's very important that every American is unable to unlock in every aspect of their life and every question that they have, that there's a companion, if you could only trust it. And this comes down to the Chinese import and all these fakers and technologies that want to take your identity because you asked a question. This becomes kind of the war that we're under. And it comes down to awareness for consumers to gear up and understand this issue. But for owners of businesses to utilize it, we're standing at the threshold of a breakthrough. Something that can break the stalemate and the scientific juggernauts that we have not been able to solve. We now have a companion that can guide us through some of the hardest problems in humanity, but we also have a potential threat and an enemy that you would not believe if it focuses on being that. So subordinating AI, having it work for every American in our lawful pursuits is one of the greatest gifts we've ever encountered in technology. And then on the other side of it, if used proprietarily by those that don't believe in equality or have communist regimes behind them, it is equivalent a threat.
Yeah, Nate, I was at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona about this time last year, and I remember seeing on the front cover of their magazine those two, fingers touching each other. One was a robot, and it made me think about they're trying to replace humans. They're trying to replace even God or a creator, if you believe that way. And I was thinking to myself, this is kind of what they're after. So it sounds to me like you're saying you've got to be able to harness the technology for the right reasons. About 15 seconds left. Just put a button on it.
So, with respect to replacing humans with robots, there are areas where it's high time, and there's areas where in commerce they can give us a strength and a backbone and a delivery that we've never seen before, 24/7, road crews and other things. Yeah. But this cannot be positioned as replacing.
Well, thank you, Nate. I hate to cut you off, but we've running out of time. But thank you so much for your thoughts today, Nate. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And we'll be right back in just a moment.
Welcome back to Special Reports. We want to bring you an update on the damage from the historic Los Angeles fires, with the total in economic losses reaching more than $250 billion. At least 29 people died in the flames and thousands of homes and businesses were destroyed. Now, the communities are looking to rebuild as they weigh options for potentially replacing local leadership.
And we want to bring in former Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva to the show to discuss. Alex, thank you for being with us.
You got it.
Well, Alex, you have firsthand knowledge of what local efforts are like to contain fires in Southern California. It's an area of the country prone to this happening, of course. Everyone knows that. So what went so wrong this time that these fires ultimately became some of the worst in California's history?
Well, you had the reservoirs that ran dry. They were put offline right in the middle of the season where you needed the reservoirs full of water. You had hydrants with no water in them. You had fire crews that were not stationed where they were supposed to be in the anticipation of a potential fire. And most glaringly, in terms of the loss of human lives, you had a sheriff who was totally MIA, and you did not have evacuation orders that were issued in a timely fashion, and you didn't have enough personnel to actually make the evacuations happen, and that cost people their lives.
Absolutely. Yeah, you say about the sheriff. We know that LA Mayor Karen Bass wasn't there either when the fires broke out. A lot of people have been critical of her and Gavin Newsom's lack of leadership. Do you think that that was enough of a wake-up call for Los Angeles residents that they might actually vote out some of these left liberal leaders?
I think that's a distinct possibility because it's a deep blue state, deep blue county, deep blue city. However, it was all pie in the sky progressive ideology that got all these people into office. But when it came to the hard nuts and bolts about making government work in times of crisis, all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute, maybe we need someone who actually knows how to do the job and make sure, the trains run on time. And that didn't happen in the worst time possible, this historic level of fire.
Yeah, Alex, I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I know how, unfortunately, deeply ingrained liberal philosophy and ideology can be. You hope that they vote them out and get better people in there because you're 100% right about their policies, exactly what created it. Well, on the flip side of that, President Trump has been getting a whole lot of work done during his first month in office. He even took a tour of the fire damage in LA County and promised to help with the rebuilding process. Tell us what you expect that to look like and what Los Angeles needs right now from the federal government.
Well, right now, they need from the federal government the ability, the capacity, get all the debris removed as quickly as possible, get people, all the red tape that is, there's enough red tape to choke a horse here. And we've had the Woolsey fire that was from 2018. There's people still struggling with the red tape from that fire to rebuild, and that was now going on 6 years ago. That's how severe the problem is with bureaucracy here at the federal, state, county, and city level. So anything that President Trump can do to get rid of the bureaucracy, get people to get their lives back in order, and of course the huge gap between what insurance can cover versus the actual costs of replacing lost residences, that's going to be a big challenge. And on top of that, now we got to figure out where is it smart to rebuild and rebuild the same way, or do we have to start taking into account that, we're building something that the likelihood of it burning down again in the next 10, 15 years is pretty high. Let's build a little smarter next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. There's certainly going to be a lot of challenges for Los Angeles throughout this entire rebuilding process. But now that the fires have been contained, there's also some other things that have been really taken over the headlines here. Los Angeles has been a hotspot for the recent crackdown on illegal migrants. Protests are erupting across the city, and we've been seeing pushback from local law enforcement officials there as well. As other cities, as Chicago, as New York, and when they're requested to assist ICE in operations, they are pushing back. They're deciding that they don't want to. What's your reaction to this? Shouldn't they be working with their federal partners?
Well, I think there has to be a balance because local law enforcement shouldn't be doing federal immigration enforcement only because they interfere with each other and the outcome is not positive. However, they shouldn't be also butting heads and obstructing each other. There's a way they can work seamlessly while not together, but not getting in each other's way. Case in point, in the county jail system, I think Homeland and Company said there's 647,000 criminal aliens that have been deported, returned, were subject to deportation, refused deportation, visa overstays, and actual criminals like your Chilean burglary tourists, for example. Those people need to go wherever they are. And I think local law enforcement, local leaders need to make sure that those 647,000 are heading towards the exits with the help of ICE. And that needs to happen. And this whole sanctuary policy is actually now becoming an obstruction because Biden's open borders was a massive game change. So we have Senate Bill 54 in California, which established the idea where you don't cooperate. But that was based on what was happening in 2018. 2025 is totally irrelevant.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Villanueva, and we will appreciate seeing you again in the future. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Well, coming up, actor and model Antonio Sabato Jr. joins us to talk about his next projects. Stay with us. It is a new day in America and a new administration in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of excitement and optimism about the future, but the reality is there's also a lot of work to do, especially when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. The truth is that the forces that are responsible for breaking our healthcare system aren't going to simply go away. The challenges our system faces won't disappear overnight. So now more than ever, you need to be prepared. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. Their doctors are medical professionals that you can trust, and their line of prescription medical kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy.
Whether it is the medical emergency kit, the contagion kit, the first aid kit, or the travel kits, these prescription kits contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of the medications. From the flu to strep throat, from COVID to the bird flu, from a trip to the beach to a trip overseas, the Wellness Company has a prescription kit designed to keep you and your family safe. Make America Healthy Again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Go to www.twc.health/voice today and order. Again, that's twc.health/voice, and make sure to use the promo code RAV to save 10%.
And welcome back into Special Report. With Donald Trump being appointed chairman of the Kennedy Center and naming Rick Grinnell as executive director, there seems to be a shift in culture. Donald Trump, after all, was a real estate tycoon, New Yorker, and celebrity before becoming president, and had a highly influential TV show in The Apprentice.
And Trump has talked about ushering in a new golden age for America, which he sees as a dramatic shift from the wokeism that cancel culture created over time, especially over the last 4 years. A celebrity that has always believed in President Trump and had no problem taking the heat for it is actor and model Antonio Sabato Jr., and we welcome him to the show now. It's great to see you, as always, Antonio.
Great to see you guys, too. Thank you for having me. I'm here in Tampa, and that's my building right there. We're right there. It's the Aura new building, which we're going to be putting up here in Tampa. Beautiful. So I'm very very happy that I'm doing building right now. I'm very much in sync with Donald Trump. So I'm following
and let's just
his
go ahead and talk
footsteps.
about Aura, since you've got it as the backdrop. You set it up so beautifully. Tell us what it is. It seems like it's a condo hotel hybrid concept.
Condo
Tell us exactly
hotel,
what it is.
5 stars condo hotel where you can be part of this town. You can own units. You can own a unit. You can be part of a hotel that has never been done here in Tampa. We're bringing the Miami vibe, the nightlife, which is blowing up here. You know, Bill Gates he's building so much stuff here in downtown Tampa. Tampa is the future. It's like LA used to be 40 years ago. We got the ocean, we got the beaches, we got 5-star hotel right now. Aura is going to blow it out of the water. Downtown Tampa has got to be one of the most beautiful downtown in any city in America. It's the cleanest and just stunning. And this is going to be a beautiful addition to it. And we're so proud. And I only get involved with the best, and this is certainly the best. And Aura will change the skyline of the city to a whole new level. I'm very proud of it.
Well, it certainly is looking very beautiful from the background that we can see behind you there, Antonio.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get your assessment here of these blazing fast few weeks of the Trump presidency. I mean, it's been hard to keep up. He's been getting so much done.
It's been great. It's been great for the American people. It's been great to be respected. I mean, we're going to change our education and help our children. We're protecting our border. We're saving our country, and the American people stood up for that because there's only one America, and we really love this place, and we want to really clean it. In the last 4 years, they really trashed it, and they really took it to a whole new level. And we want to bring it back to a common sense where we really appreciate the United States. This country is the best in the world, and we want to keep it that way. And thank God for President Trump and his whole administration that finally we're getting people who actually know their business, and they know how to do it, and they know how to count things, they know how to use common sense and protect the American people. These are the type of people I want to be associated with. That's why I'm doing building. That's what we're doing here in Tampa. Florida's blowing up, and America's looking really, really bright in the future.
Well, it's turned you, Antonio, from actor and model into a total entrepreneur. So that's evidence enough in and of itself.
Exactly.
And, Antonio, you've seen that Trump has appointed people like John Voight, Sylvester Stallone, and Mel Gibson as ambassadors to Hollywood, which I think is ironic in that, ambassadors serve foreign countries. Has Hollywood become a foreign country in many ways, especially culturally over the past, decade or so?
It is to a certain degree because you have a lot of people in power making really bad decisions who control the business. They control what kind of products they make and how they film these things and what kind of scripts they write. So it is. But I think it's changing because even Disney right now says we're going to have to change some things because we're losing billions of dollars. People don't want to be with this, this new thing that we're trying to bring up to children and that. Listen, things have to change. We're going to have to go back a little bit to go forward. And right now, they went back so far back in the last 4 years that we don't even know where we were at a minute. So we want Disney to have products for children. We want our education to protect our children, to make sure they educate our children to have better future, better school, better system, better everything. And that's what kind of expectation Trump and administration want. These are the type of people I want to be associated with. 5 stars, the best of the best. We don't lose. We're number one. That's it. And we protect the American people. So when the taxpayer money paying, and we pay a lot, we get something in return for once,
Yeah, no kidding. It's about time. Antonio, you're a boxer, and I remember the last time that you were on the show, you talked about maybe inviting Jake or Logan Paul to a fight, and now apparently...
I asked them to fight.
What happened?
I asked them to fight. They all said this, they all said that, and then a boxing promoter came to me and they wanted me to fight for no money. Listen, I'm a businessman. I'll fight anybody. I'm not scared of anyone, and I'll fight for these celebrity boxing matches anytime. But you're going to have to pay me because I'm going to bring a lot to the table, especially when I knock these guys out at 52 years old. So I'm good with that.
There's got to be some.
With the right people.
There's got to be some money pie for that, sure. Else I can see why you would do it.
Yeah, of course.
But now I'm understanding that apparently there's going to be a fight between Patrick Mahomes Sr., that's Patrick Mahomes, the football player's father, and former baseball pitcher John Rocker. What do you make of that?
Yeah. Well, listen, they got something, a little fight here and there, words, and then they promote a fight and people make money. That's the kind of world we live in. It's ridiculous. If you get something going on and people, stream it and it goes out there, and then people can set up a fight. But, one thing is fighting and using your words and one thing is getting in the ring and getting hit in the face. So I guess they're about to find out, and somebody's going to get knocked out.
Well, we are certainly going to be looking out for that, Antonio. So do you still hope to be involved in the film community and create new projects or appear in them? Okay, tell us more about that.
I have Grace by Night now. I have a movie coming out in the theaters called 426. It's a horror movie. And I'm actually about to do a lot of other movies, and I'm going to be in pre-production very soon. So I don't want anybody to think that I given up. I'm going to be acting. I'm going to be racing cars. I'm going to be boxing. I'm going to be promoting this project right here and selling a lot. I'm doing everything. I get bored quickly, and I have to be busy. So for me, it's doing it all. You know, there's not only one Trump. There's a Sabato too.
And you're a parent as well. Is that right, Antonio?
Yes, I have 3 beautiful kids.
So I have a 1-year-old, and I'm just looking for a little advice here. And something probably that a lot of people watching would want to know too. So I worried, Antonio, a little bit about raising my son in the culture that we have now. This is, of course, before Donald Trump got reelected, and I worried about what culture was going to teach our children. And so, for you as a parent, how do you manage and balance being able to teach your kids what you want them to know, the morals and ethics and work, the workmanship that you put into them, versus what society will eventually try to assuage them to do? How do you balance that?
You have to balance it as a parent. If you decide to be a parent, there's a responsibility that comes with that, which means your entire life is based on raising this child. And you have to stand up. Parents of today, they're giving up. They're giving their children to government or to public service, or here, take my kid. You have to be responsible. You have to be in charge of that human being. You have to be able to teach them the right and wrong. And so that's what parents do. And America always taught me that, because America was always the one to showcase the best of the best, how to raise the best kids, how to be in the best environment, how to have the best future, how to be number one, how to achieve those goals. And as parents have to step up. People have to step up. They have to take care of themselves physically. They have to have dignity with the food that they eat, the way they live their lives, and the way they raise their children. Enough of like, here, public service, or here, government, take care of my life. I'm so lazy. No, people have to get back on dignity, hard work and dedication, and respecting the things that they have, and actually have love for God and bigger things like family values and things like that. So I think we're going back to that.
I think you're absolutely correct. And I think President Trump really stands for a lot of those values as well. And he's been making so much change, even just in this first month of his second administration. I want to get your take on one of his cabinet nominees that got confirmed this week, RFK Jr. You just brought up talking about being physically, mentally healthy. I think he's going to do a whole lot at the Department of Health and Human Services. What are your thoughts about what he's going to accomplish?
This country has been the most unhealthy country in many, many years. We used to be the best, now we're the worst. So we need to get back to common sense and feeding our people better food and educate people on fitness and health. That's why I told President Trump a long time ago, I said, if you need somebody to really bring back the PE programs for our children in the schools, put me in charge of it. Don't put Arnold Schwarzenegger in charge of it. He didn't do anything. Or Michelle Obama for the food for our children and having better lives and better PE programs for our schools. These kids don't work out. They don't train. They don't know anything about training the right way. And I think with RFK Jr. and people like myself who actually live those lifestyle, because I think in the 50s, kids were a lot healthier than now. And it's unheard of that with all the technology that we have now, our kids are less healthy. They're more obese. There's all these diseases. And RFK Jr. knows all this stuff. So if President Trump needs somebody to educate kids and to put better programs for our kids in schools, I'm the man. I don't even want to get paid. Do it for free.
Antonio, I just want to ask your final thought on this is, in the circles that you've been in, especially in entertainment and in Los Angeles, I'm sure you were ostracized at one point for your beliefs. Do you think now that President Trump is succeeding so well, do you think that those conversations you'll have with those colleagues of yours, are they more open now, or are they still going to look at you like you stay away? Have we changed the culture?
There's two different types of those people that you're talking about. One, they will probably maybe change their minds secretly, and the other ones will never do. I mean, there's people in Hollywood, big stars named, I don't even want to name them, I don't want to embarrass them, but they believe that DEI is good.
Yeah.
I mean, they believe that. They believe that Joe Biden was a good president. They believe that. And you're never going to change it. That's their team. They're going to go into the grave believing that, and that's wrong. I think we need better people who are in higher places, who actually have common sense and some sort of education before they open their mouth. Because these Hollywood actors are very, very ignorant. They don't know nothing about. They live in a bubble in LA. You know, I go in and out. I eat my burgers. I live in Hollywood. That's not America.
Out of the bubble. Antonio, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but we do have to go. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure.